Hi, this is Tim from fititmidlife.com. Today, I've got the brand new Nike Metcon 6, the newest Metcon shoe for the year 2020. We're going to compare it side by side with the Nike Metcon 5 from last year. What's new? What's improved? What size should you get? And should you even bother upgrading? That's what we're going to talk about, so stick around. All right, so here it is, the Nike Metcon 6. This is one of two launch colorways available for men. Camouflage. I think it looks sharp. It looks better than the Matt Fraser edition, in my opinion. As soon as I saw this thing, I was like, yeah, I got to get a pair of these. And, it is a Metcon shoe. Let's take a look so you can see nice, flat, all rubber outsole, Nike swoosh there on the bottom. Got the rope wrap coming up around the midfoot. Relatively low-cut collar, just like you've come to expect. And we've got regular laces with fly wire. Get it as tight or as loose as you like. Coming around this side, you can see a little bit more. There's a nice swoosh there. Mesh upper, we're going to talk all about that. Got a tongue. It's not super thin, not super padded, kind of middle of the road. That's nice. And overall, it's a pretty good-looking shoe. Nice Metcon M there on the heel. And that's the Nike Metcon 6. So now, let's compare it to the Nike Metcon 5. All right, so let's compare with the Nike Metcon 5. So we've got them here side by side. So first of all, you'll notice a lot of similarities, right? The same basic shape and outline is obviously there. Lot of similarities. I mean, really, what's the big difference on the Metcon 6? It's that mesh upper. We'll kind of cut right to the chase here. They've reused the outsole. You can see it is the same shape and same, let's do this view here. You can see that it is the same in the width. You've got that diamond-shaped heel still. You've got the flex grooves in the same kind of pattern. And, as you might expect, levels of forefoot flexibility are the same. Some interesting things that you can see, though, on this Metcon 6. So one of the things they do with this is the outsole is actually made with two different kinds of rubber. So there's firmer, more durable rubber in the heel, stickier rubber with better traction up front. And I think for the first time with this color scheme on this one, you can actually see the difference. So this didn't come like this, right? The whole thing looked like this part. But you can see as I've worn this around a bit on the asphalt, out in the dirt and the grass, it's kind of picked up some of the color. So I think that is where you see the stickier rubber in use, because it's clearly picking up a little more dingy stuff on there and discoloring. So pretty cool that you can actually see that in action. But, you couldn't really tell on this Metcon 5 because it's all gray and it doesn't really show up. So anyways, that's that. The width of everything, the dimensions are the same. Just trying to eyeball it here, but you can see, I mean, it's the same part. I mean, even you can see the flex grooves, right? They all line up. The rope wrap is still here. Comes up high on both sides of the shoe, and that tough rubber outsole, right? This is very tough material. Keeps the friction of the rope off of the upper of the shoe, which is more delicate and therefore needs to be protected. Let's see what else. Let's look at the heel. So comparing the heels, what you can see here on the 5, we had a swoosh. We had kind of faux leather material. I'll move in for a close-up so you can see that. And, we had some random stats printed on this thing. I don't know if you can see that there, if that's going to pick up or not. But things like the heel-to-toe drop, 4mm offset, and a few other things there. I always thought that was kind of odd, because when I saw that on the initial pictures of the shoe, I was like, well, that looks like test information or something. That's not going to be on the final shoe, is it? Well, yes, it is. It's on every Metcon 5. So it's pretty subtle here on this colorway. They've done away with that in the 6. They've given it a more sophisticated looking heel. So first of all, I like this dimpled pattern. I don't know if it's dimpled, but that's what I'm going to call it. Or it's like a hex shape. Looks good, looks sophisticated, and I like the big M, the big Metcon M. I think that looks really sharp. You can see shape of the collar. It is the same, right? I mean, it comes up about that high. It's dished down fairly low. It's a low-cut shoe, right? It doesn't have a ton of material in the heel. And speaking of the heel, though, you can see the TPU clip in the back. It's the same material. It is slick. It is tough. And it's got kind of like that knife edge on it, I like to call it, so that you can get minimal drag up and down the wall when you're doing handstand push-ups. At least I think that's the rationale behind that. So that's pretty much unchanged. One thing you'll notice, that part of the shoe does discolor quite a bit. Well, maybe not quite a bit, but at least a little bit. I don't know if you can see that there, but some of the color comes off the TPU heel clip. Not a big deal, because who looks at that anyways? And I mean, the fact of the matter is it's a shoe, you wear it, and parts of it are going to wear out. So pretty much the same general shape and size. The laces, regular laces, right, on both shoes. You've got fly wire. That's these little filaments here that wrap around the base of the laces. On the inside, I'll show you on the 6 because you can see it really well. Those wrap all the way around the shoe. The idea being you tighten this up, it helps make a nice secure fit. And, we had that on the Metcon 5. It's a little harder to see on this colorway, but there's the fly wire loops. And same deal, they run through the inside. So that's still there. The tongue, they've not really changed anything as far as I could tell. Feels about the same thickness, which is good. The 4 had a paper-thin tongue, maybe not paper-thin, but pretty thin tongue. And so they added some padding, but they didn't go crazy with the 5. And so they've stuck with that with the 6, and that's good as far as I'm concerned. What do we have on the tongue here in the 6? We've got some stats. I don't know what this is. I mean, this is just obviously for aesthetics or something. Airflow, 870 feet a minute. Squat, I don't know, some insane number of kilograms there. I'm not really sure where they came up with this, or if this is like Matt Fraser's typical WOD numbers or something like that. I honestly have no idea. But you can see it says Metcon 6 there, and, overall cool. Hey, if you're going to put some weird gibberish, you might as well put it somewhere nobody's going to see it. On the tongue and the 5, we had the Metcon. Here we've got Metcon in the swoosh. Overall, it looks pretty good. So I've kind of been dancing around the big difference. but that is the upper. So let's give you an up close look at the upper here. So you can see on the 5, it is fairly solid, very solid. It's a dual layer material. It's got that 3D haptic print on top to make it tough. It varies in density. It's denser up front where there's more wear, less here where you want better breathability. But what they've done with this shoe, something completely different. So hopefully you can see my fingers through the mesh. I mean, this is mesh. This is truly mesh. It's so perforated you can see through it. Nike claims an 18% improvement in airflow. I say it's got to be way better than that because these huge holes here that you can see through. And I mean, you can see the light shining through into the toe area, the lights that I'm using, right? I mean, that's insane. That's just a ton of breathability. Certainly can't do anything like that on the Metcon 5. So that is the big difference. It's the upper. It's super breathable. It's perforated. And, up in the front, it's starting from about here. There's an extra interior material. So, it's not perforated fully up here in the front, just on the top for the most part, not on the sides, not on the tongue, right? The tongue, you clearly cannot see through that. But hey, that's pretty good. And my first concern was like if I'm walking in wet grass, dewy grass, are my socks going to quickly and easily get wet? Not really, because this part is going to take the brunt of that kind of stuff. But very breathable, and I think it looks good. Nike says it's still tough. It doesn't. I don't know if it doesn't really have the 3D haptic print on it, but this isn't like it's pretty thick too. So I'm gonna hold it up close. Like the material, it's quite dense. It's quite thick. So I think these are going to be nice and durable. So anyways, the upper, that's the big difference. And, the other thing is this part is a little bit different. So on the 5, right at the peak of the rope wrap, it kind of went off on a diagonal. The difference on the 6 is at the peak of the rope wrap, instead of going off diagonal, it goes straight up. They've got kind of like almost a tape-looking wrap here and here. They're doing all kinds of cool things with different colors and styles. And, I'll be honest, that's one of the big appeal, at least to me, of the Nike Metcon shoes, is they come up with some really sick-looking color combos. And that's how I've ended up with more pairs of shoes than I can actually wear. So good looking, and we'll be able to do more options. What else? The midsole, the drop-in dual density midsole is back. So dual density, mushy, more cushioned foam up here, denser in the heel, and clearly 2 different pieces of foam. You can see the flex grooves there. Nike has given us some stats. So the front, it says PU foam 022, durometer 40C. Durometer is like you measure bounce and things like that, right? Like when you're buying bumper plates, you can go by the durometer to tell how firm or how bouncy they're going to be. So the front's cushioned. The back is stable. PU foam 010. Durometer 51. So, you might be wondering, well, is that exactly the same as what was in the 5? I'm not sure. The 5 was labeled, it says cushioned 37 to 43 up front, so split the difference. Yeah, it's about 40. And then stable 54 to 60, split the difference. Call that, I don't know, 50, what would that be, 57? So, I don't know. I can tell you to the touch, they're pretty darn close. I mean, I can't tell you if one is more stable or cushioned than the other, but I can definitely tell you the fronts feel the same. These definitely feel the same. Can't be much of a difference here. And you can clearly see it's exactly the same shape. Everything's the same. It's all the same. So different colors. Maybe a different material, I'm not 100% sure, but it's in the ballpark, it's close. The hyperlifts are back too. So these little drop-in wedges, you put these underneath the drop-in midsole in the shoe, and it adds in the men's 8 millimeters of heel-to-toe drop. And, so why would you want to use these? Well, when you want more heel raise, like you're doing squats, like you're doing thrusters, like you're doing pistols, get out of some of that ankle flexibility by propping up your heels a little bit. So 8 millimeters for the men, 6 millimeter in the women's, and remember the stats on this shoe: 4 millimeter offset or heel to toe drop, Everything's the same. Therefore, the 6 must also be a 4mm heel to toe drop. So add in your hyperlift, get +8 for a total of 12 millimeters of heel to toe drop, and that's pretty good. So my only beef with the hyperlifts, and I always mention this, and the collar being so low, it fits me fine without the hyperlift in. But when I put the hyperlift in, me personally, I get heel slippage because then my heel's up higher in the shoe. And it's just at a point that it doesn't feel comfortable to me. Like, it's not crazy and unusable, but it just feels a little bit uncomfortable. So my wish list for the Metcon 7 is I wish they would just bring this up higher. I love the hyperlift concept. I love, not being stuck with one single amount of heel to toe drop, but it's got to work better with the shape of the heel, in my opinion. So anyways, that is basically our comparison between the two shoes. How about the weight? So some people have theorized that the perforated mesh upper would be lighter. However, I can tell you this men's size 11.5 weighs 14.2 ounces, 14.2 ounces. This Metcon 5 men's size 11.5 weighs about 13.6 ounces. So about 0.6 of an ounce heavier in the Metcon 6 compared to the Metcon 5. Same size, same basic materials. I can't really explain it, but it seems that the shoe has gotten heavier. And I saw the same thing in the Fraser edition shoe as well. The other thing here, what's my sizing advice? Well, since everything is so similar, the sizing advice is get whatever size fits you best for the 5. If you're new to the Metcon shoes and you don't know what size you wear in the Metcon 5, here's what I would recommend. I'd go 1/2 size up. Why? Because this part of the shoe's a little bit narrow. It feels pretty cramped to a lot of people, not just me. I own the Metcon 5 in both 11 and 11.5, and I have the Metcon 6 in a 10.5 and an 11.5. I am comfortable with saying you should probably go a 1/2 size up unless you have really narrow feet. Having said that, you've got the Metcon 5, you're happy with how it fits, stick with that size. You can't go wrong with that. The only other comment on that is I wear an 11 in every Nike running shoe and every other shoe like Reebok, Adidas, Under Armour, and really very few shoes do I have to go a 1/2 size up. So I do think that is something particular to the Nike Metcon line. And, overall, same sizing because the shoe is so similar to the Metcon 5. All right, so what about in the gym? How does the Nike Metcon 6 compare to the Metcon 5? So if you could guess, because the outsole's the same, the midsole is the same, the shoe, the shape, how it works, the flexibility, it's all the same. It basically feels like the Metcon 5, right? If I put these on, I close my eyes, I can't tell whether I'm wearing the Metcon 6 or the Metcon 5. People always ask, can you lift weights in the Metcons? The Metcon 6, yes, absolutely. Because of that stable heel, the relatively low heel to toe drop, just remember there's not a ton of heel raise in these unless you pop in the hyperlift, and then you get 12 millimeters total of heel to toe drop. I love to deadlift in these though because they're so flat, because I don't really want a heel raise for that. Other things, squatting, thrusters, anything where the bar's coming off the floor and you want to minimize ankle flexibility, then basically pop in that hyperlift and you're good to go. So you can definitely do all kinds of stuff, heavy lifting in these. If you're going real heavy Olympic lifting, serious Olympic lifting, you should go with a real Olympic lifter, of course. But these are great versatile shoes. And, you can do all kinds of stuff in them. The other thing you'll want to know, can I run in my Nike Metcon 6? You can run in these as well as you could run in the Nike Metcon 5s. What do I mean by that? Well, they've got the dual density midsole rather, with the cushion up front, which is fairly nice. But just remember the heel, the midsole, very firm, very stable. The heel, the rubber outsole is very solid. I'll be honest, these are not fantastic running shoes. You can run in them, yes. Like if you're going to do a WOD and it's going to do, you're lifting weights, you got to go for a short run, you got to do box jumps. Really, that's what these are for. You don't put these on and run a 5K. You don't put these on and run a marathon. And for the love of God, if you're running on a daily basis, you should not be running in Metcons. You should get real running shoes for that kind of stuff. I have tested quite a few different shoes. I really prefer to have more cushion than what you can get in a cross trainer for any kind of long distance running. But again, having said that, versatility is the name of the game here, and it is a very versatile shoe. How about noise? If you remember from the Metcon 4, we had the Metcon Squeak. The Nike Metcon 4 was a very squeaky shoe because that drop-in midsole would rub against the interior of the shoe, and it was quite noisy. They fixed that in the 5. The 5 does not make any noise. The 6 does not make any noise. The only other thing is the heels on these are pretty solid. These do have a decent amount of kind of clip-clop like you're wearing lifters. If you're walking on asphalt, on a tile floor, on a wood floor, they're pretty noisy in that regard, right? Just like when you're wearing lifters. Still does it in the Metcon 6. So same thing, because it's so similar. People, if you don't like that, you don't want the Metcons. You want a quiet shoe for Metcons, then the Nano X is going to be a better bet because it's got a solid heel, but it doesn't do kind of that weird clip-clop thing when you walk. So overall, not bad. It just makes a little bit more noise than you might be expecting. All right, so the Nike Metcon 6 is here. It is quite similar to the Nike Metcon 5. Same shape, same size. Mostly the same materials. The big difference, that perforated super breathable mesh upper. Few other minor design details like the vertical spot here and the M on the more refined looking heel. Otherwise, it is very, very similar to the Metcon 5. Get the same size as you're wearing in the Metcon 5. If you're new to the shoe, go half size up to get a little more width in the toe area. And really, should you upgrade? If you're wearing the Metcon 5, you're happy with the Metcon 5, these aren't going to feel a ton different, right? They're going to pretty much be the same. So I don't think it's a compelling upgrade unless your 5s are worn out and you look at these and you say, wow, that looks great. I've got to have these like I did. Then you should get them. So that's my advice on the Nike Metcon 6. Great shoe. Looking forward to see what Nike does with it throughout the rest of the year. Thank you. If you like this kind of review, please like and subscribe. Have a good day.